And we're back. For those of you who don't know me, I'm David Elliott Johnson, and I have this channel that supports my e-learning course, The Art of Creative Authenticity. So this is an extension of the curriculum. This is where I provide insight to my life and help you maybe find something about yourself that maybe you've lost, didn't know, or are trying to connect with in your artistry, in your creative practice of being an artist. So I use this word, undeniable, quite often with my students, with clients, in my own life, because this word really defines what artistry really is and how to become successful as an artist. You're going to find all these videos of people on YouTube or all over social media that are telling you what you're doing wrong and what you need to be doing and how you need to be doing it in order to create success for yourself. The crazy thing is, out of the 63.7 million creators that are on YouTube, only 8 to 10% of them are actually experts or do what they say they do in their daily life as a profession. I feel quite confident that with my 40 plus years of success that I am in that top 10% bracket. So me sharing insight from my life with you is, in truth, of value. And I'm going to tell you all the time where it all starts. You have to tap into your authenticity. You have to be who you are. You have to be real. You have to be raw, vulnerable. You have to give of yourself in service to your art. The art is always in charge. Just give yourself over to it. Go into the resistance. Put aside the fear. Put aside the doubt. And just move into it. Create something for yourself. Because this is the only way you are ever going to become undeniable. And as most of you know, I write in a journal every day, pen to paper. But this interaction between you and me here on this channel, this is my adaptation to that. I'm choosing to do this rather than spend my time by myself writing to myself. So this is me speaking to you instead of writing. So every once in a while it might feel a little disjointed, but you'll follow me. It's important to understand what undeniable means to me. When I talk about artists of the past or the people that have influenced me and even the artists that have influenced them, they were undeniable. That's why you know their name. That's why they have a brand. That's why they've had sustainable success their entire lives. They are undeniable. It doesn't matter what medium it is. I'm not speaking specifically to musicians. I'm talking about visual artists. I'm talking about choreographers. I'm talking about photographers, sculptors. This is hairstylists even. They're artists. And you have to get to a certain point in your life where what you do is undeniable, because this is what is going to create your path to success. So I want to read to you what undeniable means. It's very rare, and I might get used to this, but it helps me because I write constantly. Being undeniable as a creative artist can be described as achieving a level of authenticity, mastery, and impact in your work that resonates so deeply with others that it cannot be overlooked or dismissed. It involves a combination of raw talent, relentless dedication, and a unique voice that sets you apart. And when you are undeniable, Your work speaks for itself, transcending trends and criticism, and leaving a lasting impression on those who experience it. This quality is often characterized by the courage to be true to yourself, the ability to evoke strong emotions, and a consistency that builds a solid reputation over time. Does that describe any artist that influences you or inspires you or motivates you to be an artist? Speaking of being relentless, this is how my life works. I saw a short the other day, and it just happened to be an old friend of mine, an undeniable artist, singer, songwriter, performer. And she expressed something that made me realize something in myself, but I'd never put definition to it. She said, in order to achieve the level of success, you need to be relentless towards your goal. And I believe that it was her brother that had told her this. But it made her realize that yes, you have to be relentless in your pursuit of your goal. This triggered so many feelings in me when I heard her say this, because that inspired me. This is somebody I've known since I was 17 years old, I think. She was actually the lead or backup vocalist in my first band. But she has created such an incredible legacy of career for herself. And now she teaches. Now she gives back. It's like what I feel I need to do with my life in purpose. Give back. Because everybody that gave me advice for free just gave it out of wanting to sustain artistry. They wanted artistry to continue. They wanted real artistry, undeniable artistry to continue. And so they gave it themselves freely. So me charging for this information that's selfish. And this is not about anything other than me just giving you insight. Because I want you to grow. I want you to experience something in your life that maybe you just haven't yet, or maybe you've touched upon it and you don't know how to attain it again. You weren't there in the moment, present enough. Maybe there were way too many external influences, navigating you at that time or pushing you towards something that maybe didn't develop into what you felt was in your purpose. Maybe it was just for purpose, and there's a big difference in that. But when she said, you have to be relentless towards your goal, it just knocked me out, because it made me realize I have been relentless in my goal my entire life. And it has allowed me and helped me sustain a level of authenticity and connection to who I am for that amount of time. Because there is no stopping and starting and deciding and making choices. Oh, do I want to do this and do I want to do that? And maybe no, this is something you start, and for the rest of your life, it is pedal to the metal. That is it. When you're an artist, there isn't any stopping along the way and choosing and, maybe this isn't for me. I don't have a choice. I really don't. I have tried to kind of push it off to the side and maybe focus on something else. It doesn't work for me. It really doesn't. It changes everything about my attitude. It changes the chemistry in my brain. I'm not a functioning human being at that point. I'm not being true to myself. I'm living in a stress, in an anxiety. And it causes depression, deep depression. I've had my moments. I've had serious moments where I just was not connected to me. There were so many external influences going on at that time. Life. I mean, I can be very specific of a time, 2001 to 2003. Probably one of the hardest times of my life. We had 9/11. We had Napster and LimeWire. I was living in Nashville at the time. I was living on Music Row above the hot dog stand right off Roy Acuff. Anybody who lived there used to know that place. And I literally watched publishing companies, record companies, management companies, studios close. It became a ghost town. And at the same time, my father is dying of cancer. And I'm thinking, this might be a time for me to change my path. I'm looking at these signs and going, maybe I should do something else. Maybe I should take a break. But it was in the last words of my father to me. He said, you can't stop now. You've learned everything you need to know in order to have success as an artist. And it was truly in that moment that I realized that he was right. Now, you don't know that my father was a highly respected composer, arranger, world-class drummer, educator, comedian, one of the funniest people anybody ever knew. And it was tough for me in that moment to have somebody that I saw give up his dreams. And I saw give up his passions. And I think that was the hardest thing for me to watch. Because at a point in his life, he got into drugs and alcohol. And he lost his relationship with my mother. I had to watch them go through a divorce at a very early age. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't good. My father lost all his jobs, lost his friends, and opportunities. And it was all as a result of him just making himself crazy. He had a fear of success at this point. He created all these reasons and compromises for himself why he couldn't achieve a level of success. And unfortunately, family and obligation was at the top of that. It was a really rough time. And then to add fuel to the fire, he watched me progress in my career. My first session, I was 10 years old. I became a professional at the age of 10. Profession is something that you do that you get paid for. And by the time I was 12, he was actually the musical director for an East Coast touring company of Ain't Misbehavin', and I was the drummer at 12. And then as I progressed in my career, he had to sit back and watch this. And he looked at how far he had fallen at this point in his life. And I'm trying to provide him with some kind of just positivity in his life. And this is a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure on me to try and uplift him and say, look what you've created. Look at who I am. Look at what I'm doing. And I'm your son. You're my inspiration. You're my mentor in all of this. And it just didn't work. It just got worse and worse. And by the time I was 17, I achieved more than he ever did in his entire life. So there was a lot of animosity and a lot of jealousy as our relationship continued. But it was in that moment at his bedside that I realized that Everything in my life that I had achieved was to impress him and was to make him recognize what he had created in his life. Yeah, I was able to do all these things and take his knowledge and the talent that he afforded me and take it as far as I could. And then in that moment of last words, he said, "You never had to achieve anything other than being my son. You are my greatest creation." And in that moment, I realized that this is what I needed to do for the rest of my life. That was 2003. And from that moment on, I've never looked back. And I didn't realize, the crazy thing is, in that period of time, I was so prolific because this was my escape. This was me just going into every emotion and allowing it to just affect me and be a part of it and feel it. And I didn't know it, but in that time, I was creating a legacy for myself that I wasn't even aware of. I was creating the greatest successes that I would ever have in my life up until that. I wasn't aware of it, what I was doing, but I was so connected to what I was doing that it all came to light years later. And that's when I realized that when you are relentless in the pursuit of your goal and you are connected to what is undeniable within yourself as an artist, there's nothing you can't achieve. Absolutely nothing. And this has been my life. I put myself in positions and opportunities that I know can allow me to grow. And it all starts with me being me and being real and being honest with you and with myself and saying, these things I know, but there's a shitload that I don't know, but I'm learning. I'm always learning. And this is what's so much fun about teaching, is because when I learn something about myself or part of my process that I've been doing for over 40 years, and I discover something, an aha moment, I go, check this shit out. I've been doing this for this long, and I never thought about it this way. Just like when my friend Beth said, you have to be relentless towards your goal. I went, this is what I've been doing. I've used the word relentless, but I didn't put it into that type of position, of phrase. This is who I am. And it just knocked me out. So, with all that being said, I'm genuinely trying to keep these videos short, but I guess that's not working. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe you're entertained enough and there's enough that a value here that you're hanging in there. This is all I want to do. I just want to provide you with insight and be of service to you, and hopefully that resonates with you and you get something out of this, maybe even a little tiny bit. And that's all that matters. And I'm talking to you, the one person that is watching this. And it's probably my mom. She actually said, I think you need to curb your profanities. I guess I said fuck one too many times in another video, and she was like, do you have to use that word so much? And I went, what the fuck are you talking about? And with that, I wish you well, be brave, be you, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for hanging out with me. Gonna say it again, Dandy Blend. It's so good. Turning this thing off now.